Okay, Chapter 13. The Gem City of the Ozarks. If I'm saying that right, half the time I might be saying it wrong, but it's Ozarks. Sorry if I'm pronouncing the words wrong. If you may know this book kind of well, but I do have bad pronouncing with the O's and Z's. Soon after the Wilders arrived, there was the town of Mansfield experienced a small boom. A new railroad line encouraged a small industries to begin and helped to bring families to the area. Money after they also brought people to town. The Berry mine near Mansfield shipped out to the St. Louis, and the lead mining operation produced zinc and lead. During the late 1890s, downtown Mansfield was a busy place around the town square. Fancy brick buildings were constructed to the house Berry's business. There were general stores, a bakery, drugstore, an operating house for traveling shows, flowers, mails, and bank. The square was filled with shaded trees, and it was a good place to watch town activities. And to await the arrival of freight and passengers train at the depot, traveling Sessman off steep at the train with their sample cases and headed for the stores or went to one of the two hotels in town. The Mansfield newspaper bragged about the town, calling it one of the best and most popular cities in the part of the state, Mansfield, and Gem City of the Ozarks in every sense of the word. At the edge of the town on the railroad, our Rocky Ridge farm stood a little yellow frame house. It was one story with an attic above and a front porch decorated with lacy wooden squirrel work. It was close to the school and has less than a mile from the Wilder farm. In 1898, Manly and Nora decided to rent the house for $5 a month and tried living in town. They knew that years would pass before Rocky Ridge was self-supporting farm, and they wanted to earn money to invest in their land. Mansfield seemed to be the best place for them to live while they established their farm. Manly Wilder became Mansfield drayman. Mr. Coley has for a hauling and draying service soon after the Coleys and the Wilders settled in Mansfield in those days, before automobiles each. Town needed a deliverman whose team and wagon could haul loads in town and country. When Mr. Coley died, Manly bought the business and the team and wagon from Mrs. Coley. As a drayman, Manly met the trains at depot and unloaded shipments and had the merchandise. For the stories, Laura and Rose were always the first to know when new sales or fresh bolts of material arrived. They also knew who came and went on the train. When travelers or railroad workers on salesmen wanted a good meal, Manly should dress his own house. Laura had started cooking and serving meals in the little yellow house as a way to earn extra money. Laura's cooking quickly became profitable. She decided not to cook in a city-like style, but instead to serve things nearly impossible to get in the city. These include fresh eggs, no milk, fruits, vegetables, and frying chickens raised on Rocky Ridge. It brought him in town. Laura discovered that she could earn extra cash by using home products, combining with the spirit of hospitality and well taken and fought. Laura also enjoyed the interesting people she often met at her table. One of them was Mr. N. J. Craig, who had worked at the Bank of Mansfield. He became one of the Wilder's closest friends. Living in Mansfield made Rose a town girl. Definitely. Definitely improvement for riding Spokane to and from the farm when she went to school. The year the family moved to town, Rose was 11 in 6th grade class. Rose read constantly. One of the Wilder's neighbors had a well of books, and Rose borrowed and read them all. The Mansfield school acceded only to the 8th grade, and Rose wanted to continue her schooling. Some of her schoolmates planned to attend private academies in larger towns where the high school courses were offered, but Rose knew that academies charged tuition that her parents could not afford. During the summer of 1898, the Wilders had their first visit from the relatives. Millie's parents, Rose's grandpa and grandma Wilder, along with his oldest sister Laura, arrived for a long stay. Laura was then a widow traveling with her parents. They were moving to Collie, Louisiana, where Manley's brother Perry and sister Eliza Jane had settled. Eliza Jane had married a wealthy rice plantation owner and had a son named Wilder. She was convinced that the entire Wilder family had to move to Louisiana. Grandpa Wilder was 85 when he sold his beautiful Spring Valley for several $1,000s. Eliza Jane Purley talked into investing most of his money in Louisiana rice lands to invented and Grandma to live in Collie. Royal Wilder had married and settled in Spring Valley as he merchant, and he refused to move south. Millie had worked so hard making his start in Mansfield that he would not leave. Besides, neither he nor Laura were fond of Eliza Jane, who had been Laura's teacher back in Naismith. During the weeks they spent in Mansfield, the older Wilders often worried about the money they had invested in farming. Both Grandma and Grandpa feared that their money would be lost through Manley, tired to reassure them. One day their visit was ending. Grandpa surprised Manley. He had bought the rent house on the edge of town and turned over the deed to his son. Grandpa and Grandma Wilder, Manley's sister, were continuing south, only to find their fortune had lost in poor investments. Grandpa died in a few months, homesick for his Minnesota home, but caught it that he provided only to Manley and Missouri. Laura's family back in South Dakota often wrote with news and friends and happening in Naismith. Pa and Ma were comfortably in their house on the First Street. Mary lived with them, busy with their rail books, her music, and her hard work and church activities. She was cheerful and happy and a great help to Ma with the housework. Carrie worked at the Naismith News and Leader office for many years and also lived with Ma and Pa. Her began helping support the Ingalls home, but she found time to enjoy her bicycle, tennis, church work, and ladies' clubs in Naismith. Grace took a college teaching course and became a country school teacher, just as Laura had done. She taught several schools west of Naismith in the Manchester area and Wilder met a farmer named Nate Dow. Grace and Nate were married in the Harrier, Paul's and Ma's home. In October 1901, their own home was a farm on the prairie, 7 miles west of Daysmith. In the winter, a spring following Grace's marriage, the letters from Daysmith were filled with concern over Paul. He was 66 and suffering from a heart failure. In May 1902, the message came that Rose should come home. Paul was dying in haste. Worrell left housework to a 15-year-old Rose. Worrell boarded the train and changed trains all the way to South Dakota. Finally, her train stopped at Daysmith. There was no fiddle music to greet her homecoming, but Worrell had a rad time to see Paul once more. He lingered until June 8th, dying with Ma and their 4 daughters close by. Paul's music, his kindness, his respect for her work, and his sparkling blue eyes and cheerfulness has always influenced Worrell, even through her first 30 years of married life. Later, she and Manley had established their new home in Ozarks at Paul's funeral in Congregational Church. His favorite hymn was sung, Sweet by and By. Worrell thought that when her time came to die, perhaps Paul and his fiddle might be playing some for her. Worrell lingered at Daysmith to visit her family. When she left, it was the last time she ever saw Ma and Mary. They lived on together for many years in cozy houses Paul had built but never visited Mansfield. Carrie visited the Wilders in 1903 and was so impressed with the Ozarks that she bought a lot in the town of Mansfield as an investment. During the summer of 1903, Manley's sister Eliza Jane and her son Wilder came to visit Mansfield. Eliza Jane was now a widow, and she had spoiled Wilder rotten. Manley and Wirt were speechless. At this, some of the Wilder's actions, such as personally breaking that sitting room window, Rose was amazed. Her younger cousin's bold and fearless behavior, they became great friends that summer. When Eliza Jane and the Wilders were preparing to return home to Louisiana, they asked Rose to join them. Rose wanted to attend a real high school and study Latin. What she could do is she lived in Crowley with her aunt. Manley and Laura agreed that Rose could spend a year away from home, so she left Mansfield with her aunt and cousin. In Crowley, Rose was a brilliant student, just as she had been in Mansfield. She passed the high school entrance examinations easily because she had read so widely at home, and during the year in Crowley, Rose crammed 40 years' worth of Latin into one. When she graduated in spring of 1904, Rose addressed audience at consummate exercises with original Latin poem she had composed. As Eliza Jane said, Rose was a very bright girl. When Rose returned to Mansfield, she saw her parents were no closer to their goal of making Rocky Ridge Farm. Pain from them. They had been, when she left Manley, had become a salesman for the oil company, delivering kerosene, oil soaked gas, and turpentine. All over the countryside, the Wilders rented out the house on the Rocky Ridge. She kept working to improve the farm. After he finished his delivery route, Manley tended the crops, the orchid, and the livestock on the farm. Sometimes they hired men to help him to work. Rose could see no way to help her parents financially. There was no work for a young girl in Mansfield, no chance that she could attend college. He had no money making skills, but then Rose found a way to learn telegraphy. The Mansfield, the manager agreed to teach both his son and Rose the language of telegraphy. Rose caught up on quickly. When she was ready, she found a job in Kansas City, Missouri. As a telegraph operator, the pay was $2.50 per week, enough to support herself and perhaps to send money home. At 17, Rose left Mansfield. When Rose left home, the era of the working woman had just started employing women and called backyard girls. America started modern. One of the first things Rose did in Kansas City was to shorten her skirts to keep them above the dirty sidewalks. Then she cut her and long hair. Both styles created a stir in Mansfield on Rose's visitors and home. Although they have worked hard in town on the farm, Laura and Emily were happy during the years when they lived in the little yellow frame house. They worked on projects on the Methodist Church when Laura organized the first Christmas bazaar. Amaza was active in Mosaic Lodge in Mansfield, and both he and Laura were members of the Eastern Star organization. They liked the religious and charitable ideas of the Star. Madison's with friends, they enjoy parties, social picnics, fishing trips, and campouts. On the Mansfield years, Laura said, "We work hard, but it's interesting and we didn't hurt us anyway."